It's Ash from Super Videos, back for another video for The Walking Dead World Beyond. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the official reveal about Jadis' identity and her role at the CRM. So stay tuned, we'll be right back to break this down. Alright, as always, before we jump into this, if you are not a subscriber and enjoy the content by the end, consider subscribing to join our community, share and smash the like button, and press the bell to be notified when I upload on the channel. With that said, let's dive in. So obviously, what we're going to talk about comes from the trailer of Season 2, Episode 6 of World Beyond. Now, if you haven't watched World Beyond up to Episode 5, and including Episode 5, you probably don't want to watch this video because it will spoil a minor moment for you in terms of what we're gonna see coming up. But it doesn't spoil too much for you. But again, if you haven't watched the previous episodes, you probably don't want to watch this. But for those of you who have watched the episodes and have seen the trailer, you know that there is a specific scene in the trailer for 206 where we actually see Anne or Jadis with her CRM uniform greeting none other than Officer Huck. Now, the interesting part about this is that Huck actually refers to Jadis or Anne as Warrant Officer Stokes. So that's pretty much our official confirmation about Jadis' role at the CRM. Now, you may be asking, what is a warrant officer? The technical definition of warrant officer is an officer in the armed forces holding a rank by virtue of a warrant and ranking above a non-commissioned officer and below a commissioned officer. So, what does that mean? That means she has a role that's above all of the other soldiers within the CRM in this case, but she has a rank that's lower than the lowest rank of a commissioned officer. So she definitely has a much lower ranking than Lieutenant Colonel Elizabeth Kublek. Now, the other part of it is obviously this reveals to us that not only do Jadis and Huck know each other, but they have a history together, because if we look at the trailer, Jadis says,
"Hope we get to catch up a little while I'm here."
And she also says,
Warrant Officer Stokes.
I think we've been through too much for you not to call me by my first name.
so that definitely tells us there is some sort of a history between those two. So that is extremely interesting. Now, one other very intriguing component of it is that based on the events of World Beyond, we now know that Huck knows what's going on with the CRM. She's aware that the CRM and her mother, Elizabeth Kublek, was responsible for taking down the Omaha colony, and she's pretty much aware that the CRM is taking people from their own group, even officers within their own camp, to do research on them. So she's definitely not a massive advocate for keeping the Civic Republic intact. And she's definitely, in my opinion, working from the inside at this point to take the CRM down. Now, what is very interesting is that that could be exactly what Jadis is doing as well. Or they could set it up such that she is also doing the same thing or trying to do the same thing. And, putting these two characters together now will create a possible force within the CRM that has the capability of bringing down this group. Obviously not in World Beyond, but in the Walking Dead movies, and most likely with the help of none other than Rick Grimes himself. Now, the other very interesting part of this is that she is Warrant Officer Stokes. So her name is Anne Stokes. If Anne is the name that she's being referred to here as well, if it's not Jadis or another name. If you are trying to figure out where that comes from, that's actually Gabriel's last name, Gabriel Stokes. And we know that Gabriel and Anne were in a relationship when Anne left, so this definitely connects the dots a little bit more. Now, the other thing we're going to talk about is the end credit scene that we saw at the end of season 2, episode 5, at the end of that episode, after the end credit scenes, we actually saw a scene, a CRM officer with her helmet on, talking to Dr. Bennett's girlfriend, the researcher at the CRM facility, and she was talking about the fact that they brought in a new test subject, a subject that actually was a CRM officer at one point, which is extremely interesting. And then we get a reveal that the person was none other than Anne, and she actually says Elizabeth Kublek has been sent to the CR for another assignment, and she, meaning Jadis, has taken her role as the commanding officer at this facility that they're stationed at.
The lieutenant colonel has been called to the Civic Republic indefinitely. Until further notice, you'll be answering to me.
And this definitely kind of gives us a lot of information in terms of what Jadis's role is going to be in World Beyond, but obviously we still don't know exactly how they're going to make it work in terms of having her return to the movies, or whether they're actually going to do that, or whether they're going to leave her in this entity and they're not going to really send her away at the end of World Beyond. But obviously we're going to have to wait to see what they do, but a lot of great stuff happening in World Beyond when it comes to this reveal. I mean, I haven't been a fan of the seasons of World Beyond, even season 1, but I feel like this is the most amount of story that we've gotten in quite a while. And it just involves a little scene in a end credit scene and a scene in a trailer. So much of the other stuff that they've been doing has been teases and build up, but there hasn't been too much payoff yet. But the biggest payoff we've seen so far is the reveal of Jadis being Warrant Officer Stokes of the CRM and taking over the research facility that we're seeing in World Beyond. But that's pretty much everything I wanted to go through in this video. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to share and smash the like button. If you're not a subscriber, subscribe to join our community and press the bell to be notified when I upload on the channel. That's it for this video. See you next time for another super video.